When growing up, I was separated from my family, so I didn't grow up with any of my siblings. That made me feel really lonely as a person, as well as that I used to get bullied when I was younger in primary school. So that made me have loads of complexes, made me have low self-esteem. I didn't believe that I could achieve anything in my life, meaning that I didn't have any goal, I didn't have any aim. I just developed a I don't care attitude. I didn't care about the grades I got, I didn't care about how I would speak to teachers, so much so that I got kicked out of lessons, nearly got kicked out of school, got put on reports. I didn't care anymore because of the bullying that I went through. And that really affected me to the point where I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life anymore. I had no goal, no aim whatsoever. So during this time of aimlessness, one of my friends invited me to the church. And that was when I was literally at my lowest point, because looking back, I wasn't the person that I wanted to be. Deep down inside, I really wanted to achieve. I wanted to be successful. I just wasn't willing to do everything that it took to get there. So when I was invited to the church, I took part in the youth meetings regularly. I would come weekly and I would develop as a person. All my anger issues just went, and I started to develop as a young man. And even today, I performed in front of thousands of people. I speak to people regularly. I've even been selected as a student ambassador for my sixth form. So today I can honestly say that I'm completely different and I'm completely changed. So to all those that think that they can't overcome low self-esteem or can't overcome their bullying problems, I say to you that you can achieve what you want. You can be the person that you want to be. I say that because I have now become the person that I want to be, and I'm on the right track heading for success. And to all of you that think that you can't, you can, because I did.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. Now, no matter how much you try to hide what is really inside of you, you know the reality of your life. And many of us, we have learned the skill of not allowing what we feel inside to transpire for others to notice. And so, because of that, we become good actors. And when I say we, is because, not because I do this, but because there was a point where I did. And perhaps few things make people more unhappy than pretending to be someone they're not. Now, maybe you say, James, hold on a second, because I'm not a fake. I'm a sincere person, an honest person. And maybe you are. But perhaps you have been keeping up appearances in the sense that you are not a person who's happy, who's satisfied with life. Maybe you are depressed, frustrated, but nobody is aware of what is happening inside of you because you put on a really good show. You've become a good actor, a good actress. And like I said earlier, we're not saying that you're a fake. Perhaps you don't want other people to know what you're going through because you don't want to expose your personal problems. But the truth is that underneath what people see, the inside of who you are, how you feel, doesn't really reflect what people see on the outside, because maybe they see someone who's always laughing, who's always, with a smile in their face. Perhaps you're the life and soul of the party. Perhaps if someone is, upset about something or is lacking motivation, you're the one who lifts your friends up. But the problem is that no one knows what's going on with you. Perhaps you feel unhappy, alone. You feel like your life is going nowhere, like you have no direction. And it becomes even worse and tougher because of the fact that you've been hiding this perhaps from others. You shoulder these, all the problems you have by yourself, and you're struggling. And sometimes you need to take off the mask in order to overcome the problems, to say, listen, this is my situation and I need help. That's what we do when we go to the doctor. Hi, good evening, Michael.
Hi, James.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
When we go to the doctor, I know a lot of people don't like to go to doctors, and I personally don't. I don't go unless there's something seriously wrong with me. But the thing is, when you go to the doctor, or the dentist for that matter, I think the dentist is even worse, because some people only go to the dentist when there's something seriously wrong and they can't take the pain anymore.
Yeah.
But once you're in that situation, you have to go there and say, listen, this is how I am. I need help, please. Whatever you do, whether you take this tooth off, whether you whatever. Take a pair of pliers and pull it off, but just get this pain out of my life, right? And there are people who hide things as much as they can until one day they just can't take it anymore.
That's a good example that you gave about the doctor, because we only go to the doctor, men especially, only go to the doctors when there's something wrong. And even then, even though the situation may be embarrassing, but they'll still open up to the doctor and say, look, I have this bump in that place. But they open up, right? So they come to a point where they can't take it anymore. So I know that sometimes we say, how are you? And the immediate reaction is, I'm fine, I'm all right. But deep down, they have problems on their mind.
Yeah.
But no one's gonna, expose their problems on a daily basis to everyone.
Yeah, but Michael, a lot of these people that struggle with problems like this, they say, nobody cares. Nobody cares about me because, no one knows what I'm going through. But it's very difficult for people to know if you don't talk about it. If you don't say, listen, I need help. And I've heard a lot of people say this. Listen, nobody cares about me. If I die tomorrow, if I'm no longer here, nobody cares about my life. And perhaps not true. It's just that you've become so good at hiding the things that you are going through right now that everybody thinks you're fine. And if everyone thinks you're fine and you keep saying that you're fine, then it's very difficult for someone to help you.
If someone feels like that, no one's going to come up to your friends or your family. I'm going to come up to you and say, are you okay? Sure? And then half an hour later, you sure you're okay?
Actually, I know someone who does that. My wife does that with me.
Really?
And I tell you, that's one of the worst annoying things that someone can do to me. Are you okay?
Especially when everything's okay.
Yeah, and then she said, look, are you sure? Because you're quite quiet today. Are you sure you're fine? And then I tell her, look, I was fine, but I'm not anymore because you kept asking. And if you say to everyone, look, I'm great, I'm fine, no one's going to keep asking you that.
Exactly.
And maybe you go through this thing by yourself. Your outside shows that you feel really good, everything's fine, but inside you're broken, everything is messed up, and perhaps you are sinking about to die and no one is any wiser.
Unless you're Billy No Mate, you have no friends around you. I believe that there is someone that you can talk to. And, you've got to kind of train yourself or believe that there are people out there around you. Even this program, right? We have a line that's open for you to talk to someone. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to give your personal details, but you can speak to someone, and at least as a listening ear, someone to help you.
Yeah. And, let's stop being actors. Actually, I will introduce you after the break to someone who was a great actress. Not anymore. Today, she's a terrible actress. Well, she's going to explain to you better. But she was a very good actress before at showing people that everything was fine. And yet, inside, things were not fine at all. And maybe you find yourself in this situation right now. You say, listen, I go to work, I put on a brave face, I tell everyone I'm okay, I try to wear new clothes and people compliment me on my appearance, but the truth is I'm struggling. I really don't know what to do with my life anymore. And I don't know who to go to. I don't know if I call someone, if I go and see someone. I just don't know what to do. And I wanna invite you, for you to speak to someone right now. And perhaps this will be the first time that you will tell your problems to someone. Now, I want a camera here on Michael, please, on myself and Michael. I'm standing here next to him. Let's see if we can get a camera. Okay. When you speak to us, when you speak to the people there in the helpline, and don't put the number on the camera on the screen just yet. When you speak to someone here in our team, and you say, look, I'm going through a problem, nobody knows what I'm going through, no one is going to do like this to you. It's okay. It's going to be all right. No one will do this. Do you know why? Because it doesn't solve your problem. Perhaps you say, look, but I need someone to encourage me. How many people that you know encouraged you and told you it was going to be okay, but nothing was okay? And what I'm telling you is this, is that perhaps what you need is not a
A pat on the
A
back.
pat on the back, right? You need someone to say, listen, it's time for you to do something about your problem. And let's do it together. Let's use our faith together. Let's fight against this together. Let's be honest about it. Don't hide this problem anymore. Don't be an actor, an actress about it anymore. Let's overcome this. Let's fight it together, head on, go to the root of the problem, because we can overcome it. Now you can put the telephone number there on the screen. If you want to speak to someone right now, you say, James, I am that person you just described. It seems like you were talking about my life. Then you can speak to us. 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or you can send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to go to a break now. When we come back, we're going to speak to Lisa, who's here in the studio with us, and she'll be telling us about the time that please keep the number on the screen. Please, we want people to know that even during the break and throughout this program, you can speak to someone. So I want the number there, the email there as well. You're going to meet Lisa after the break, who was a good actress, but the day that she learned to use her faith, be sincere about what she went through, her life changed. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
They say that home is where the heart is, a place that should be filled with joy, security, happiness, and memories. However, sometimes our own blood is the cause of most of our pain. Before you lose hope, try this. Every Thursday, come and pray for your family and receive the guidance and support that could help you all reconnect again. After all, no amount of success can compensate for a broken family.
Life is made up of moments, some good and some bad, both of which make an impact on our lives in one way or another. Usually, it's the bad experiences that mark our lives in a negative way. Some people develop complexes, others get deeply hurt, withdrawn, traumatized, and some can never get past the pain. It's betrayal, divorce, bad news, testing moments, and the unexpected that can cause wounds to our inner souls. And it's these internal conflicts that can prevent true inner peace. And we all know that if our interior isn't healthy, then this will be reflected on our exterior also. But through faith, God can help you reach the hurt that no one else can, and help us to overcome some of the worst moments life throws at us. If you're looking for internal peace and healing, then come and receive the free bottle of holy oil for internal peace on the 1st of June at a UCKG closest to you. Use the oil and receive the strength to overcome your internal battles. For more information, give us a call on 020 7686 6000 or visit our site uckg.org.
Welcome back. Just a reminder that the number that will be on your screen will be on throughout this whole program, and you can speak to anyone at any time. I want to introduce you now to Lisa, who is here in the studio with me tonight, and she'll be telling you her amazing story. How are you, Lisa?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now, is it true that you were a good actress?
It's a very good actress.
Now, you good actress in terms of performing arts, or good actress in the terms of hiding what you were going through?
Both really at school, but from a very young age, I had lots of problems at home.
Mm-hmm.
My parents divorced when I was 8. My mum then also went on to a new relationship and had another 2 children, so there was 5 of us, and it came to the point that she was actually a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
So she was working and all of us. But I never took those problems to school with me openly. It was reflected in my grades, but in terms of friendships, I would always overdo things, if I can say. I would laugh, and I would just be part of the crowd and make myself heard, and even mess about in class sometimes just to say, oh look, actually I'm fine and full of confidence, but I wasn't.
So things at home were affecting you,
Yes.
but you didn't let that show.
No, not at all.
Right.
I wanted to be accepted. So I would dress a certain way. If I saw the girls were doing that, I would speak the way they were speaking. If they were going to do things, I would follow them as well. Or I would try to be a leader, but really inside, I was no good at making decisions. But I would try to cover everything up.
Right. So, I mean, that's when you were quite young.
Yes.
As you were growing older, what started to happen? Because you were hiding these problems. I'm sure that when we get older, problems get bigger. So what started to happen then?
They did get bigger. At the age of 16, 17, my mum basically wanted me to move out just because she had lots of problems and everything else. So I started dating. I moved out from home, and the reason for that move was just the problems at home were too much, and I just wanted out. And also kind of rejection and things like that. So at the age of 17, I moved out from home. I thought, you know, this is probably going to be a solution to my problems now. That's at home, it will be fine. But then all the things that I had kind of become over those years of growing up were reflected in my relationships. I was very insecure. I was jealous. There were all these emotions that I hadn't dealt with before. And then I had to try and cover that up as well, plus the strains of having a relationship and trying to keep it. Although at 17, it was quite difficult.
I mean, moving out at 17, especially here in the UK, it's quite normal,
Yes.
right? A lot of young people do that, even though many of them are not ready. But that's what happened to you.
Yes.
You weren't really ready to do that.
No.
You said you were bad. You were bad at making decisions, right? Because you were influenced by others.
Yes.
So you moved out. You weren't ready for that. You started to make bad decisions. What bad decisions did you make?
I decided to get married at 19. I wasn't ready. My partner wasn't ready, but he had an issue with immigration, and his parents put basically a lot of pressure on marriage to resolve that. So another really bad decision. Not that I didn't love the person, but there was no way we were ready for marriage at 19. We were both studying, you know, our relationship was rocky. So
at 19, you were two teenagers, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you probably didn't know what you wanted for yourself, never mind for a marriage.
No.
How was that marriage? I mean, were you happy there?
No, within a few months after the marriage, there were lots of arguments, fights. It got physical once. And then I started going to university, and actually I started living my own life at uni, and he started living his own life, doing his job. So we were living under the same roof, but living completely different lives.
Right.
And that went on for a few months, and then we separated.
Now, you said that you were very jealous.
I was.
Right. Why do you think that was?
I think maybe because the example I'd seen at home, my dad had several affairs, that obviously the relationship ended in divorce and everything, and I guess I had trust issues as well because of the insecurity, because of my upbringing, because of disappointment, rejection. So for me to trust someone, I thought this person would do something to hurt me.
It's interesting that everything you're mentioning now, insecurity, rejection, these are all internal problems.
Yes.
Right? So you were healthy.
I was.
Were you?
I was, yeah.
You were
no health
healthy.
problem.
Perhaps, you know, I don't know, maybe you were getting by financially. Were you?
Yes.
Yeah. But internally, I mean, there were all these things that nobody knew about. I mean, do you think people who were your friends and who dealt with you on a regular basis, do you think they saw you as someone who was insecure, or they never thought you had all these things hiding there?
They just saw someone that was young, that was married, that was at university. So they saw all these good things and thought, wow, this is, you know, we're really proud of you. You've achieved all these things, but actually I hadn't achieved anything.
Right. So although outside it seemed like you had everything going for you, inside you were at, would you say breaking point? Would you say that you were all over the place?
After the marriage broke down, and then we'd been in a relationship for about 6 years, that was really, really hard for me. During that period, my dad had passed away as well in an unexpected accident. I'd started uni and finished uni twice. So at that point, I was quite depressed, a bit lost, started doing things that, you know, going out, partying, things that I never was really that interested in before. So I did kind of go off the rails a bit then.
In terms of the depression, how did that manifest itself? How did you cope with that?
I think things just went bad to worse because I got into a relationship, long distance, that didn't work. I then got into an abusive relationship. Then I started going out partying, started taking drugs, and all of these things are things that I never wanted because I'd seen it in my family growing up. So that added to the depression. It was a way for me to forget. So as you were saying earlier about covering up maybe what's inside, for me, party time was attracting attention, you know, of other people, having someone by my side that actually didn't really care about me, but I convinced myself that he did, just to cover all the hurt and to forget in those moments, you know, of drugs and partying, I could forget everything.
Was that a way for you to try to switch off from the problems and try to forget about them?
Yes. But then after it would be worse. The depression would be worse. The loneliness would be worse. The problems in my relationship was worse.
Right. And just a last question before I talk to you about something very important. In terms of the drugs, I mean, what was it, an addiction? Was it something you did just once in a while to forget the problems? What kind of drugs did you take?
I'd always been against drugs, and then the person I was dating, I found out was a drug dealer. So he would go to clubs, sell ecstasy, cocaine, all of those things. And at first I said, no, I'm not going anywhere near that. But then curiosity got the better of me, and I thought, well, I may as well just try it. So it was like, it was an addiction. When I would go out clubbing, I first started with ecstasy, then I became even more curious, you could say, and then cocaine. Then it got to a point, one weekend, it was ecstasy, cocaine, marijuana. Alcohol, all mixed. And
now the people that are watching at home, they probably think that you're lying because you don't look that type, right? Especially now that you've changed your life for a while, you've been in the faith for a while. They look at you and say, no, this girl is having us on, she's making this up, right? But that's how bad it was.
It was bad. It got to a point I was looking for a party probably 5-6 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There are times I would be out the whole weekend, even before doing the drugs, just out night after night.
Right. Why? Why all that? Because that's the question. I mean, that's what I wanted to ask you, right? I mean, we were talking earlier about people who try to, that the outside doesn't reflect the inside. And a lot of people know what you're going through. I mean, perhaps there are people watching us now on the off chance that they are at home, because usually they're not at home. They're always out. So if you were partying 5 days a week before, I mean, this perhaps would be the odd day out that this person wouldn't be partying. So they know exactly what you're going through.
Yes.
So, I mean, you hid that really well from people because they perhaps thought you were having the time of your life, right?
Yes.
But inside, how were you inside?
Inside, I was so empty. I think that was it. Even though I had this person in my life as a relationship, you know, it wasn't a good relationship. The drugs and going out would be a way just to forget. But then afterwards, I would just feel so alone. I remember the weekend I was talking about all the drugs, everything mixed together. I thought, can I not just take all these? Because I started being really sick from the mixture of everything, the cocktail. And I thought, can't I just fall asleep and die? And that is the point that I got to, that I didn't want to live anymore. I wasn't doing the drugs to commit suicide or anything, but I got to a point that where the high of the drugs actually turned to such a low that I thought, surely I can just die. I've taken enough. There's not really much for me here. What's the point?
Right. Now, you also had a knack for getting into abusive relationships because your first relationship and consequent marriage became abusive. Was that right? Or
not so much physical, but definitely emotional. And there was just one time that it became physical, but that was enough.
And then this one you were talking about became abusive, physically.
This one was really bad, really, really bad. It was physical. He would throw things. He would grab me. He would hit me. It come to a point that I would hit him back.
Right. Why didn't you leave? I mean, why did you not make a decision to leave if it was getting to that point?
I tried to leave, but he became obsessed. He was obsessed, and it came to the point that I lost contact with my family. Even friends, even his friends that were female, he would say that I was having an affair with them. So he was so possessive and so obsessed with me, I was unable to leave. So I actually left one day. I packed my things. I got a friend to help me move, and I left the house, and he actually came after me, and then I had the police involved. So you could see it was really hard for me to leave.
Right. And again, perhaps, not perhaps, but for sure, the reason why you took that for so long was because of all these issues inside of you, that the insecurity, because if you really knew your worth, your value, you would have left a long time, right?
Yes.
Before.
I think as well, I thought I could help him, and I think this is a trait that a lot of people try to do. They focus on other people's problems or negative things and think they can help, and I always thought, no, I can help them, and I couldn't even help myself, so I was kind of fooling myself thinking I could help him, and that's why I stayed as well, but it didn't work.
All right. So Lisa, after the break, you're going to finish telling us your story. But if you find yourself at home watching me now. Perhaps you were flicking through the channels because you didn't go to that party and you know, you had nothing to do, you can't sleep. By the way, could you sleep?
No, I suffered with insomnia
You suffered
as well.
with insomnia, depression, insomnia, all these things. So maybe you are a carbon copy of Lisa, right? Maybe on the male side, maybe you're a man, but it more or less her story. Maybe you're a woman, the same thing as well. And you're watching me now because you're not at home, but today you happen to be and you say, listen, that's exactly what happens to me. And if you want to talk to someone, go ahead and feel free to call the number because someone is there ready to speak to you. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to hear what the people of London have to say about how the outside sometimes covers up the inside, but we'll also see how Lisa changed her life around. Don't go anywhere.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. A Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
The UCKG Helpline Call Centre is open 24 hours a day, every day of the week, all year round. If you need help due to a serious problem you may be going through, if you feel that you have nowhere to turn to and desperately need someone to lend a listening ear, then we can help you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done, your religion or race, your call will be answered by someone who genuinely cares about you and has your best interests at heart. We also arrange home visits for the housebound and hospital visits for anyone in great need of kindly human contact. Whether it is simply information you want or desperately need someone to talk to, we're here for you on 0207 686 6000.
Welcome back. Now, we spoke to the people in the streets of London about this topic, how the outside sometimes covers up what is really going on the inside. And we want you to have a look what they said.
Well, this is a very tricky one because Tonight we're talking about the inside and the outside, thoughts and behaviour. So Finding Answers is on the street, doing a bit of our own research, asking the public about their thoughts and if it affects their behaviour. Let's see what they say. Have your thoughts had a profound effect on your behaviour? If so, what were the effects?
I guess sort of having negative feelings about how well I do in a certain subject, maybe with school, and that sort of affects how much effort you put in, I suppose, because then it's like a vicious cycle where you don't put as much effort in, so you do worse, and then you think about it, and it just goes round and round. I suppose that's
basically growing up from where I was from and going through a struggle. I didn't have much money, so slightly the thoughts in my head of wanting money, it slightly put me out on the strip to go and sell drugs and do all the rest of it, to have fancy things and to be like all the older lot around me.
For me personally, I would say that I've been brought up in a way that a man had to be strong, a man had to fight, a man had to be rude and show that he's without emotion and all that. But then I realized that as I grew up, it affected my ways in many ways, because I realized that the truth is I was weak. Because I realized that the reason why I was acting the way I was acting is because I had no peace inside of me. So this was my mindset. It was like a man need to fight, a man need to be strong, a man had to be... But I realized that the strong that I've been told is not the strong that I have now. Because now, basically, I have peace. And to be honest, I don't have to worry about my back. I don't have to look around and this and that, because I have peace. And I realize that this way of life is absolutely nonsense, because it's not taking you anywhere anyway. So, yeah, I am in a better place now. And I must say that for maybe 19 years of my life, this is how I was. Somebody that was like acting, but the truth is I was weak.
Oh yes, of course. I think it's the way you think is directly affect on your attitude and act, because always when I think of something, and then all my interest is focused on that things, and then also it affects on my acting and where I go, where I eat, or where I see.
So I'd done a bit of training in the States, lived like a movie star for a bit. But it wasn't like that. When I was out there, it was like someone switched a light bulb on in my head. And I thought, I can definitely be more and achieve more. And my brain was suddenly clear. Someone inspired me out there. So when I landed back on the plane, when my feet hit sort of the soil again, I was completely driven. I was like a different person. My ambition levels rose, my intensity level to find, work and achieve like the best thing I could do, that definitely rose as well. And now I've actually left the acting slightly behind, because I'm more down the corporate route now. So I train staff and people in motivation and sales and performance skills. I combine acting and selling and make a difference to people and train them and in body language, performance skills, public speaking, and try and inspire them, basically. So yeah, my thoughts definitely went from a negative sort of bum around thought to highly motivated, driven thought, and that made my behaviour in turn increase to be completely ambitious and intensify totally.
Welcome back. Now we've heard how Lisa ran away from an abusive relationship. Now Lisa, after that, what was your next step? What did you do? I mean, did you make another bad decision again?
I had some time by myself, about 3 months.
Okay.
And then I entered into another relationship, thinking, okay, let me take things slowly this time and see how it goes. Within 3 months, actually, I fell pregnant. So
not so slow.
Not so slow, no. It was obviously wasn't planned. I did think actually this person's different, completely different to the previous person I dated. But yeah, once my daughter was born, it didn't work out well at all. He lost his job, we had problems, arguments. There were signs in the beginning anyway, small things like he was smoking marijuana. I should have seen that as an alarm bell, and I thought, well, it's only that. Compared to the past, it's not so bad. There's all these other things. So we actually separated after my daughter was born. And then things got worse. The depression got worse, the insomnia got worse. grudges as well. I had a lot of grudges from the different relationships, and also him, because I just thought, how could this person that I've trusted, even had a child with, now leave me? And I'm a single mum. And
you had a problem with your own company, right, Lisa? Because
yes,
you it seems like you didn't want to be by yourself.
No.
And again, perhaps because you wanted to hide these things that were there hidden inside you. So when you found yourself with your daughter by yourself, you said the depression got really worse, insomnia. I mean, how bad did it got? What was a typical day, a typical night for you?
The thing is, the day was always the same. It would be breakfast and then a routine to the park, and every day was the same. I felt it was like a gerbil in one of those wheels going round and round and round. And it became so bad that I just started focusing just on my daughter, thinking she's the only one that loves me. I think I depended on her more than she depended on me, because she was my world. And it's just like I forgot about everything else, everyone else, and it was all about her. I did have thoughts of suicide. I thought about ending my life and ending her life, and I just thought, well, how am I going to end my life, because she will be by herself? And then I didn't have the courage, obviously, to end her life. So it came really, my day was the same, night was the same, I couldn't sleep. And she was my world. I started just revolving everything about her. She needs me, and that's it. I just focused on her, and it got really, really bad.
Now, at this point, did people now, your family, for example, did they know now that there was something not right with the way that you were feeling about yourself or so on? Or did they still not know that, you know, you had all this stuff going on inside?
No, they just thought I was really strong. Obviously, they knew about the separation. And for them, it's like, oh, you know, it would be, oh, how's things? Yeah, it's fine. You know, just getting on with things. But actually, every day was worse. Every day was more lonely. I think more loneliness, emptiness. The grudges were still there. The anger was still there. I think the worst thing for me was the loneliness. I just felt so alone. And depression, it was, you just fall deeper and deeper into your depression, and you just think there is no one. And the thoughts are, no one cares. There's no one for you. How are you going to get out of this? You don't see any way out.
So how did you come to know about the church?
So a friend invited me. She'd been inviting me for several years, actually, and I'd been once or twice. I just said, it's not really for me. It's not my thing. But she invited me to an event, and I went along. And I just thought, you know what? If I don't help myself, no one's going to help me. And that's what I realized. My life is only going to change if I help myself. And I made a decision to seek that help. And one of the first things were, okay, who are you? And that's where I had to say, you know what, I'm not this person that is successful and happy and has everything under control. I'm lost. And when I say lost, I was lonely, depressed. I had to go deep. I had to look where all these characteristics that were making me feel so bad.
Right, but when you came, did you open up to someone and told them about all your problems?
No.
Or you tried to still keep the mask on?
Yes, not at all. I didn't open up to anyone.
Right.
It was only when I started to understand that actually if you speak to God, He's going to listen, because even for me that was hard to understand. But I started to pray. That was the first thing I did. I said, God, I don't know where you are, but this is my life. This is my last hope. You either do something and change it, or you end it. But I wasn't interested in speaking to anyone. I didn't want to. I would go to the church, I would listen, and I would go home. But then I would start to put into practice what I'd learned.
Okay. But so all those steps you were taking of coming to church and trying to practice the things you learned there, slowly, I mean, how long after coming did you, for example, start sleeping well at night?
I think in about 2 months, things started moving. The more I put things into practice, the more I understood. I think the biggest thing for me was to realize that my life could change, because before then, that was my life. And I think that's really hard when you have depression. You don't see any way out. When I understood that actually, if I do A, B, and C, and I put things into practice, my life is going to change. And I like drill that into my mind, my life is going to change, but I have to do something about it. Things started to change.
Right. And after attending the church and being there now, you've been in the church for quite a few years now. I mean, how is your life today? I mean, on the outside and on the inside?
Completely different. Completely. Everything from making decisions to having, you know, a family with my family as well was restored in terms of my mum, the relationship with her. Obviously with my daughter, I love her, but she's not my number one. As a person, all those things, I would always start things and never finish them. So I've studied, I have a career now. I'm actually able to help other mums that are and other people that are in similar situations that I went through. Completely different.
And what about all these issues you had inside? I mean, you had insecurities, you had depression, you had, I mean, you name it, right? What happened to that?
All of those have gone now. It wasn't easy, but I had to be sincere. I had to be honest with myself. Who am I? And that's not an easy process, because many times we don't want to think about that. I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive other people, because I realized by keeping those grudges, it was only hurting me. And step by step. But the help that I received, you know, it comes to a point you do need to speak to someone.
Yeah. So today you are a completely different person.
Completely.
Right? No more depression. No. The issues are dealt with. And, you know, I want to tell you that are at home right now that you can try to put on that appearance, that image to others that you're fine. You can do that for a while. But let me tell you that everything in this world has a breaking point. Even the strongest steel beam that holds a structure, that holds a bridge, even that has a breaking point. I mean, when you go into a bridge, it usually has a weight limit. And we human beings are like that. I mean, we get to a point where if we don't get the right help, if we don't do something about it, we break down, right? I mean, that's what was happening to you slowly but surely with this depression, right? I mean, you got to a point where you were now by yourself, and it was hard dealing with that by yourself, right?
That was the last. I don't think I could take much more, which is why in the end I said, no, I need to find help, because I knew. I mean, I don't think you can get much further to, you know, the pit, if I can say that, to you wanting to end your life and your child's life. That's really serious.
Absolutely. So if you are going through that, know that one decision can change your life. One choice, right? Maybe like Lisa was before, you're quite good, and this is a contradiction, but maybe you're very good at making bad choices, right? If there was a prize for who makes the worst choices, you would be number 2, because Lisa was number 1, right, Lisa? Or number 3, I don't know. But maybe you're excellent at making bad choices, at, you know, doing things you regret. Maybe you're excellent at showing people you're doing great when actually you're not. So here's my advice. My advice is make a choice, make a decision that can actually change your life for the better. And, you know, the prayer we're going to make here tonight can be the first step in the right direction. I want you to remember that. And before we go for the prayer, we're going to speak to Kimberly, who's here with me today. And her microphone is on, because yesterday her microphone was off, and she's going to be reading the letter of the day. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Okay, good evening all. And the mail of the day is, I feel like I will never become anything. I feel lonely and very sad most days. I've never made much money in life, and I'm now 30 years old. I feel like a failure that will never succeed or amount to anything. There is a part of me that wants to have power to do great things and make the difference in this world. But I think as I'm getting older, I fear that might never happen, and I will live and die a mediocre life. Please help me on how I can overcome this. Asuka.
Asuka, let me tell you something. You're getting older, I'm getting older, everybody gets older, right? And of course, ideally, everyone wants to achieve success at a youngest age possible, so that then you can enjoy that. But life is not always ideal. Sometimes it doesn't happen for you in the beginning. Sometimes you want to be a millionaire at 25, and you find yourself at close to 40, and you're not even 1% there. But this is the thing. As long as you're alive, you can make decisions that change your life. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you've tried to do. If you're breathing, and if you are still healthy, and even if you're not, I mean, we have successful people, very successful people, who are not necessarily healthy, but they are still very successful in the field. So if you want to do something great with your life, if you want to achieve something significant, the advice is keep fighting, look for the right direction. Maybe sometimes a prayer can put you in the right direction. And it's only a matter of time as long as you persist. That's my advice for you. Now, I want to call you to prepare a glass of water, if you can. I have here with me already a glass with water that we've prepared. And I want to make a prayer with you that when you drink of this water, you will no longer be imprisoned by your appearance of being well when actually inside you're broken. Perhaps you need to be sincere with yourself first. Perhaps you need to be strong to make a decision that will change your life. And I want to pray that with this prayer, with this first step we're going to do here today, this can happen. Now, we're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll be coming back straight to the moment of prayer. Make sure you have your water with you because we're going to ask God to touch your life.
All right, real quick. Here are 4 unrelated stories, all with a common bond. First, let's go back to November 20th, 1982. For the 85th time, Cal and Stanford are involved in a heated contest. After a wild game, Stanford, led by a young John Elway, takes the lead with just 4 seconds left. The Stanford fans and band are already celebrating, and why shouldn't they? The game is over. One final play begins as Stanford kicks short to Cal. A mad scramble ensues. Laterals follow near tackles, then a blind over-the-shoulder lateral. A mad race to the end zone. Down goes the Stanford trombonist as the touchdown is scored. The unthinkable happens and Cal wins. As it turns out, it wasn't over. How about this one? Meet the Lilies, Russell and Terry. It's 2001. Their 10-year marriage has been a constant source of frustration. A vicious cycle of selfishness, fighting, and isolation has left them both exhausted, angry, and done. Never mind the vows. Never mind the 2 young boys. This one is beyond hope. This marriage is over. Following their divorce, Russell becomes a follower of Christ, and Terry begins to notice the transformation taking place in Russell. Hardened hearts soften. The relationship begins to heal. Forgiveness is sought and granted. In 2007, they remarry. The one that became 2 is now 1 again. Then there's Raylene Kuferschmidt. It's January 2008. Ray suffers a cerebral hemorrhage. Declaring her brain dead, the doctors remove her breathing tubes. Knowing that it's over, the hospital releases Ray to her family so she can be taken home to die comfortably. Meanwhile, Ray's family plans her funeral. But someone forgot to tell Ray that it was over. At home, Ray suddenly wakes up. She's checked again by her doctors, who cannot believe that she's still alive, much less alert and healthy. Funeral plans have now turned into vacation plans for Ray and her family. Logically devoid of hope, legally divorced, literally dead. Everyone thought it was over. It's not the first time. Flashback almost 2,000 years. A man claiming to be the long-anticipated Messiah is unfairly accused. Offered up to the lying crowds by a Roman official, the supposed Savior is flogged, mocked, tortured, and beaten. He is nailed to a tree and crucified. He dies and is buried. Hopes that he is the Messiah fade away. It is finished. Friends scatter. Disciples hide. Evil celebrates. And for 3 days, it is over. But on the 3rd day, there's an empty grave. Evil has lost its victory. Death has lost its sting. Suddenly, miraculously, the only thing that is now over is hopelessness. 4 stories, 1 message. It's not over, even when it's over.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer and include you in the Finding Answers prayer book, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord, in the name of the Lord Jesus, even though at different times of our life we try sometimes to hide the truth from others, to hide what we're going through, your eyes can see right through us, my Lord. You can see the things we're trying to hide. You can see the brokenness, even though we try to pretend that we're whole. And so there are people, my Lord, right now, not few, but many people who feel broken, who feel like they have to live this lie where they hide from others the things that are going on inside them. But right now, in a moment in their home or work, wherever they are, where perhaps no one is seeing them, they are being sincere with you. Look at this person, my God, who now is sincere, who asks for your help, who asks your hand to remove from within them whatever should not be there, the insecurities, the problems at home, the health issues. My God, whatever it is this person is going through and that has been affecting them, that right now, my God, your hand may go where no one has gone before and remove those problems that this person has been struggling with. So, my Lord, I ask you now that in the name of the Lord Jesus, that pain, that struggle this person has been dealing with, after this prayer, that they will be free from this in the name of the Lord Jesus. And when they drink of this water, Lord, give them strength to be sincere, to choose to do what has to be done. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I consecrate this water. You may now drink of it where you are. You know, you have a choice to either keep lying to everyone or to be honest. And I mean, look, I don't want you to go. I'm not saying that you should go and tell everyone your problems. That's not what I'm saying. And if you feel down and people ask you how you are, you say, listen, I'm quite down. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is be honest with yourself first of all, because that will help you to deal with whatever problems you have in front of you. That's the most important thing. Once you do that, you can then start to beat your problems down one by one. Okay? It's been a pleasure to be with you. We'll be back here with you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.